All right, welcome everybody to FloridaPhysique.com. This is our new website where we're going to be talking about what's going on in the world of NPC Florida bodybuilding. There's a lot going on in Florida. We have a lot of shows out here, so this will be the place to go to find out about what's going on with Florida bodybuilding. And this is our first episode of the Florida Physique Report. This is our weekly radio show where we're talking about last week's competition. We're going to recap all the weekly competitions in Florida, and we're also going to have on our guest. This week we've got on, we're going to be talking about the NPC Southern States contest, which just took place last weekend, July 11th and 12th in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. It was a huge two-day show, almost 500 competitors, and these competitors are, like, this is national level stuff, folks. These guys were incredible. The athletes there were incredible. And we're going to have the promoter of the show himself, Peter Potter, is going to be with us. Peter has been involved in the NPC since the very beginning. The Southern States contest itself has been promoted since 1980, so it is one of the oldest shows in Florida, and it is the biggest show in Florida. And Peter has a long background, so we're very interested in talking to him. And then after we join Peter Potter, we're going to talk to Jennifer Freeman, and Jennifer was the figure open winner at the Florida States over the weekend, and she also won the Masters. She won both the over 30 and over 40 divisions. It was her biggest win to date, and Jennifer is fighting a medical condition that we're going to talk to her about, and she's had to overcome all that to go through her training and her diet and to win these competitions. And she's going to be traveling to the Masters Nationals this weekend, so we wish her the best of luck. So she'll be a great interview to talk to. Before we get to that, though, I want to just go over the Southern States contest. It was, like I said, a great show. This show has been one of the biggest shows. It's not a national level show per se, but it is one of the biggest shows in the country. It's probably one of the bigger regional shows of all the states in the United States. They had 483 competitors with the crossovers, so that just goes to show you the level of competition that was involved here. It's a two-day event. On the first day, they do the fitness, the bikini, the figure, and the men's physique. And then on the second day, which is Saturday, that's all the bodybuilding. So they have the men's bodybuilding, the women's bodybuilding, as well as the masters bodybuilding. And also they add the women's physique on that, and the men's fitness, which is a sort of an event that's exclusive to the Southern States. So I just wanted to, we have a big report of that on the website, on FloridaPhysique.com. I just wanted to quickly go over some of the results to give some of these athletes their due. The Masters figure over 60 was won by Ellen Holmes, and then the over 50 class was won by Viviana Cimarelli. And then as I said, the Masters figure over 40 was won by Jennifer Freeman, who's going to be our guest a little bit later on. And she also won the Masters figure over 30. The men's physique, they also had a Masters division. Christopher Cohen won the over 50 division. Frank Same won the over 40 division. And when I was talking to Peter, he was telling me that Frank Same competed, and I think he competed back in the 80s in the men's bodybuilding. He was a great middleweight bodybuilder, and now he's competing in men's physique. He's got to be in his 50s now, so congratulations to Frank. In the Masters bikini, they started with the over 50 division. Teresa Vaught won that. In the over 40, Ruth Beria Edwards was the over 40 winner. The Masters bikini over 30 was in two classes, and that was won by Jody Pearl. Teen men's physique was won by Alexander Flores, with teen bikini being taken by Bruni Rojas. The novice figure division was also in two classes. The overall winner was Crystal Thomas. The novice men's physique had some great physiques. They had two classes there. The men's overall winner in that was, I hope I'm saying this right, Gioli Lagala. And then novice bikini was also in two classes. The overall winner there was Yudi Soto Hernandez. The figure open was a big division. I think they had 26 competitors total in the figure open. Class A was won by Leslie Morris. Class B was Isabel Feifel. Figure open Class C was Crystal Thomas again. And then the figure open Class D was Jennifer Freeman, and Jennifer Freeman won the overall in that also. Men's Physique Open was also very big. They had 53 competitors. Class A was won by Andes Para. Class B, Von Xavier. Class C was Frank Lopez. And the Class D winner was Audie Augustine. And Von Xavier won that show. We did an interview with Von for RX Muscle. If you want to check out that, that's online right now. Bikini Open, as usual, was the biggest event of the whole two-day event. 75 total competitors in Bikini Open. Natalie Costa won Class A, with Jessie Melton winning Class B. Vivian Arias won Class C, and Alzira Rodriguez won Class D. The overall winner in that went to Natalie Costa. And then day two was all about the bodybuilding. We had the men's bodybuilding along with the masters bodybuilding, and they also had the women's physique along with that, and they had the men's fitness, which is a category that the Southern States is one of the few competitions that holds that. So let me go over the results real quick with that. The masters men's bodybuilding goes all the way to over 70. The lightweight class was won by Richard Rabin, and Tony O'Connor won the middleweight class in the over 70. Wow, you guys got to see Tony O'Connor. You got to go check out FloridaPhysique.com for the full report. I got the pictures along with the complete report and the results. Tony, over 70, was amazing. I mean, this guy had so much muscle mass. It was unbelievable that at over 70 years old, this guy carried this amount of muscle mass and the conditioning. Very impressive. He won not only the over 70 division, he also won the over 60 division, the middleweight and the overall. Dan Acosta, who is the husband of Georgia Miller, one of the first women bodybuilders in the early 1980s. Dan won the lightweight class, and then Tony won the middleweight, and Tony also won the overall. So Tony won the overall in the over 60 and over 70. Great accomplishment to Tony. My congratulations to him. I'm 51 myself, and I know it gets tougher as you get older. So to be over 70 and look like that, my hat's off to him. The Masters Men Bodybuilding over 50 was in three classes, the lightweight, middleweight, and heavyweight. Humberto Lopez won the lightweight. Frank Sapienza, who I always see at all these shows in Florida in the over 50, he won again in the middleweight. And Rennie Ramirez, great leg development on Rennie, he won the over 50 heavyweight class. The over 50 overall was won by Humberto Lopez. So for a lightweight to win a tough show like that, that was pretty amazing. And I think Humberto's going to go on to the national level himself. Masters Women Bodybuilding over 50 was won by Dr. Josefina Monasteria. And she again did her big salsa routine that she always does. The Masters Men Bodybuilding over 40 lightweight class was Lorenzo Suri, the winner. The over 40 middleweight class was Paul Southern, who is also competing this weekend in the Masters Nationals. And the over 40 heavyweight class was Yamil Cabral. Now I want to talk a little bit about Yamil. This guy is a beast. He won not only the over 40 division, he also won the Masters overall. Then he went into the open division, won the super heavyweights and the overall. So for a guy 40 years old to look like this guy, he is a monster. Big and ripped, great leg development. And I believe Yamil said that he's also going to the Masters Nationals this weekend in Pittsburgh, and I think he's going to shake things up out there because this guy's got an incredible physique. Let's see, the Masters Women Bodybuilding over 40 was won by Ingrid Valentin. And then they also had an over 35 Masters Bodybuilding. Lorenzo Suri again won the lightweight class there. The middleweight class was won by Alejandro Urbina. And the heavyweight class was another very impressive bodybuilder, Brian Garrison. Brian sort of reminded me of a young Ronnie Coleman I wrote in my report. Small waist, big muscle bellies. And he also won the overall in the Masters Men over 35. Teen bodybuilding was won by Lorenzo Martir. He likes to call himself Lorenzo Lee. Lorenzo's a very promising young bodybuilder. Not a super big guy, a teenager still, but very ripped, very symmetrical. He's a model out in Miami. And one of the things I liked about Lorenzo, he posted this song called Bodybuilding is King, and I never heard of that. And when I interviewed him later, he told me that he actually wrote the lyrics to that song, and he sang the song. So he wrote the lyrics, sang to the song, and posed to it. So that was pretty impressive. So congratulations to Lorenzo Lee, who also will be competing this weekend in Pittsburgh. He's going to be doing the Teenage Nationals, so we wish him the best of luck. David Moran won the middleweight class, and Lorenzo, of course, won the overall. Women's physique, they had two categories. They had the open and over 30. They were both won by April Casamano. She beat out Maria Ruskowski in the over 30. And then in the open division, that was The open division was won by Maria Roskowski in Class A, and April Casamano won Class B, and then April won the overall there. And then we go to novice men's bodybuilding, another big division. Diego Spadoni, who looked incredible for a novice bodybuilder. To think this guy's never won an overall title before. Very symmetrical physique and very ripped, very conditioned. He won the lightweight. Jose Gandil won the middleweights, and then Jonathan Fisher won the heavyweights, and Diego Spadoni won the overall there in the novice bodybuilding. Women's bodybuilding open, very lightly contested, as most of them are. Dr. Josefina, she won the lightweight class, and Ingrid Valentin won middleweights. Mary Kane won heavyweights, and then Ingrid Valentin won the overall there. Men's fitness was interesting. They had 6 competitors. Bonaparte Laurent, who was a men's physique competitor, won the overall. Bonaparte had a great upper body, like 8-pack abs, big pecs, very good physique, and he showed that he also has the fitness to go along with it. They do several events on this, push-ups for 90 seconds. I think Bonaparte did 82 push-ups in 90 seconds. It was amazing. Then he also won the pull-up division. I think they had to do that for 60 seconds. So Bonaparte won the Best in Strength award, he won the Best Physique, and he won the Men's Fitness award. Nicholas Davenport won the Best Obstacle Course. And then finally we get to the open men's bodybuilding. This was a huge division. Again, they had bantamweight, lightweight, welterweight, middleweight, light heavy, heavy, and super heavyweight. So many divisions, just like a national level show. Rafael Casadilla won the open men's bodybuilding bantamweight class. Lightweight class was won by Humberto Lopez again, who also won the over 50. The welterweight class was Diego Spadoni, who was the novice winner as well. Middleweight class was won by Alejandro Urbina. Light heavy was won by Arturo Mendez. Very good physique on Arturo, very ripped. Heavyweight class was won by Big Freddie McRae. And then the super heavyweights again, Yamil Cabral, who dominated this contest by winning not only the Masters Men Bodybuilding overall, but also the overall in the open division. So incredible show. Like I said, I got a chance to sit down and watch the whole event for Friday and Saturday, and what an amazing competition. If you ever have a chance to compete or even just go see this show, it's really a great contest. Definitely a national caliber show. I want to thank the judges for putting in such a great job. I know they worked very hard. Just a few of them I want to mention. Sandy Williamson was the head judge, Juan Hernandez, Tim Gardner, of course, who's also got the Tampa Bay Pro coming up pretty soon. My old friend Ernest B. from Iowa was out there for judging. Paco Hernandez, Bill Nealon was the MC, and Sergio Pacheco, Mike McKinney, Edith Driver, just some of the judges that put in the hard work over the weekend. So that wraps up the Southern States. Great event. We're going to be joined by Peter Potter in a minute, and he's going to be talking to us about what it takes to put on a show like that, as well as his extensive history with the NPC. And then later on in the show, we're going to talk to Jennifer Freeman, who was the figure overall Masters and Open winner. And Jennifer, like I said, is getting ready for the Masters Nationals this weekend. We're going to talk to her about her training and diet in order to get preparation for this contest, which was her biggest win by far. So, thanks for joining us again at FloridaPhysique.com. We're going to hear from our sponsors right now, and when we come back, we're going to be joined with NPC Florida Chairman Peter Potter. We'll be right back. The MP6 training program is a training program designed to increase both your muscle mass and your power. This is John Hansen. I'm the creator of the program, and in order to improve in bodybuilding and muscular development as you get older and as you improve and you get more advanced, you need to increase both your muscle strength in order to increase your muscle size, and that's what the MP6 program is all about. It's a 6-week program specifically for power. That's the P in the MP6. Power, increasing your strength in order to develop more muscle mass. After a 6-week program of power training, you move on to mass training, which is another 6-week cycle designed to increase your muscle mass after you've increased your power in the first cycle. Each cycle is 6 weeks long. This is a proven program that I've used after 30 years of training, and it's got my experience and knowledge behind it. And the MP6 program will increase your power and strength, help you increase your size and strength no matter what your age or experience level. The MP6 training program is the program you need to make more improvements in your bodybuilding training. MP6 training is available at NP6training.com. It's an online program featuring video exercises along with an ebook and complete training cycle programs. NP6training.com. All right, welcome back to FloridaPhysique.com, and I'd like to introduce our first guest. We're very honored to have him here today. His name is Peter Potter. He is the NPC Florida Chairman. He's also the NPC National Vice President Chairman, the Zone Chairman, I should say. And Peter has been involved in the sport for a very, very long time, so I thought it'd be great if we got a chance to talk to him. And I was just at the Southern States competition over the weekend in Fort Lauderdale. That's, I think, one of the oldest and definitely the biggest competition here in the Florida area. It was an amazing show. So I wanted to bring Peter onto the show and talk to him and talk to him a little bit about his background. How you doing, Peter?
Fine, thank you.
Well, thank you very much for joining us. I know that you competed as a bodybuilder, and a lot of people may not know that who see you around at the competitions. So I thought we could start off with that. Tell us a little bit about how you got into bodybuilding and what brought you into the sport originally.
Okay. After my serving in the Air Force, I moved to the Bahamas, and I lived on Grand Bahama for 15 years, and I sort of got out of shape and didn't train at all. And when I moved back to Fort Lauderdale, I was introduced to a professional bodybuilder called Gene Massey. Gene owned a gym, he owned a health food store, and he was one of the officials and organizers of a contest. So I trained under sort of Gene and for a period of years, and then all of a sudden, I got encouragement, well, really you should start competing. And I was over 35 at the time, and I did. And I'll be very honest, I was not very good. And I only competed 3 times, and I didn't place in any of them. So I decided that maybe my attributes, my experience as a businessman would be better put if I went into the organizing and helping in terms of judging and backstage and promoting. And as a result, that's when I sort of turned to that area. Now, Gene was killed, unfortunately, in a aircraft accident, and he was in the process of promoting at that time the North American. So I took over what was, we only had like 4 months left of promoting that show. And at that time it was rather unique because it was the only show that I think has ever been that we got the sanction from 2 different competing bodies, the AAU because of Gene's long history with them, and at that time the IFBB. Anyway, we held a contest. I got involved in that, and I thought, well, gee, that's something I could contribute. And so it's been sort of ever since. Now, since shortly thereafter, after Gene died in that contest, I was introduced to really my mentor, which was John Carl Meese, who was promoting the state show. And he encouraged me to start the Southern States in 1980.
Wow. Okay.
And I also promoted for several years the South Florida, but finally turned that over to one of our other promoters.
Wow. Okay. Now, I was just mentioning in the intro that I went to the Southern States this weekend, and I thank you for having me out there. It was a huge 2-day event. I think you had almost 500 competitors, and I think it's probably the biggest show in Florida right now, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
We were very blessed with the response from not only people in Florida, but people from Georgia. We had some people from Puerto Rico and several other states.
Yeah, I want to talk to you about when you first got into bodybuilding. Obviously, it was a much different world back then with the bodybuilding world. There was only bodybuilding. There wasn't figure or fitness or bikini or men's physique or women's physique. I sort of got involved with it around that time, too. I started training, I think, in the late 70s. So, what are your thoughts on that? I mean, what do you think about how the sport has changed so much and the growth from when we started back then to where it is now?
Well, we've sort of had several. We've sort of evolved on several different occasions, as you say. Back when you started and I started the contest, we only had men and primarily women bodybuilders. That was it. Mm-hmm. And if we had a contest of 50 or 60 people, we were thrilled. You know, that was a tremendous number. And, oh, yeah, it was a big thing. Now, it started to evolve that the masters got involved in this, said, well, you know, why don't you do a contest for us? So we started having men over 40 or men over 35 and 40. And then the 50 guys said, hey, what about us? It's not fair. And now it's gotten to the point, and we've had quite a bit of success with all the way up to grandmasters men over 70.
Yeah, you had a couple of guys in your over 70 division in this contest.
That's right.
And,
that's right.
They were tremendous.
Now, then the next step was the advent of women's fitness. And this was, for a period, a big event. In fact, I decided that I couldn't hold them on the same night as the bodybuilding because it was already going past midnight. So we set up, that was when in 1996 we actually went to a 2-day event. Okay. And it was because of women's fitness. And believe it or not, we had like 20 or 30 girls who competed in fitness. We brought in a couple of specialty acts and had a show. And then on Saturday we had the bodybuilders. Okay, and then as you mentioned earlier, we sort of recently, in the last 5 or 6 years, got into first of all would be figure. And the advent and a huge number of contestants, then men's physique, and then bikini, and those have been the most recent items attached. And of course, you know, those numbers have just grown unbelievably. Right.
Yeah, I think the bikini and the men's physique are some of the biggest competitions we have right now, right?
That's right. That's right. And we're thrilled. We're happy. Some of the doubters in the early stages who said, A, they won't bring the crowd. A, that's wrong. And number two is they made some comments to the effect that they don't really train. To that's wrong. So it's proven to be a very positive step. Because if we were only restricted to what we had back in 1980, we would not have had the type of contest you attended.
Yeah, it seems like, you know, from my perspective looking at it, I mean, I remember being a bodybuilder even when I was a teenager, and it took so much work to get ready for a show. And now it seems like it's opened up now with the men's physique and the bikini to so many people who just go to the gym, and now this has given them an option to where they can compete. You know, women who don't want to be bodybuilders or men actually who don't even really want to be bodybuilders, they now have their own divisions that they can compete in also.
Correct. And one thing, one addition category I forgot along the way was the recent edition of women's physique. Yeah. Which is a more feminine bodybuilder woman, but still retaining, you know, size, shape, definition, etc. Definitely. I mean, if you go, and this was always the question even years ago, if you go into an LA Fitness or a Scandinavian or Bally's or whatever they're called at this time, you will see that the majority of people in there would never get into what we call a traditional bodybuilding show. Yeah. So the market, on the other hand, if we walked in there and talked, you could probably see 10 or 15 guys that could compete in men's physique.
Yeah, right.
30 or 40 people women who could be a possible figure or bikini. So
Right.
in a way, we opened up for us the market, which we had excluded. And the market itself is changing. I mean, I know I owned a gym for 15 years, and it was a combo sort of. It wasn't LA Fitness, and it wasn't just a hardcore, and I didn't have any powerlifters there. But even those gyms and the hardcore are having a hard time today. We don't have them. I don't know in your city, but in Miami, Fort Lauderdale, I can tell you on one hand the remaining hardcore gyms.
Yeah, I agree with you. There really wasn't the fitness revolution that we had later on. I mean, when you and I first got into bodybuilding, it was just pretty much hardcore gyms, like you said, and then there was the other ones which were more like the health clubs, just
That's
for
right.
the average people. But a lot of average people really weren't into working out like they are today. I mean, today it's common for people to go to the gym and work out, where before it was sort of a weird thing,
That's right.
Younger.
That's right. And even though people like Arnold Schwarzenegger, Jane Fonda, and several celebrities promoted fitness for everyone and were in essence tremendous shape, you're right. The average person, if they did go, they found out, God, being a bodybuilder is hard.
Right.
I don't want to do this. I don't mind riding the bike for 10 minutes, but bodybuilding, oh no, that's too hard.
Right. Exactly. Where do you see it going in the future, Peter? I mean, do you think there'll be more additions to the physique shows? Do you think we'll have other divisions that we don't have yet?
It is possible that there is an area of undeveloped in men's physique that could be. When we first started men's physique, the concept was a surfer off the beach with great abs. That was sort of the concept we've had. It's sort of gotten to the surfer better have fantastic abs. He better have arms and a chest, and yes, he should have a little back. Then don't worry about the legs. So there's still that area where maybe we could develop something there, and obviously where there are people training in this, and as we get input from people, some of them, like in men's physique, say, well, you tend to pick junior bodybuilders or bodybuilders without legs, and it all depends on who's on stage, of course, as to who you pick. But we might get into that area where we get sort of back to for one category, and I'm not talking officially here, but it could be a classic, type thing. In bodybuilding area that we haven't done in terms of developing. And fitness, we're always trying to encourage, and one of the things that we have not been successful as we hoped was to encourage the gymnasts, the people who are in the Reebok championships, the dance in this, necessarily to get in fitness. So I think there's a lot that can be developed in fitness that maybe is a new way to get them, the young girls who would be ideal for that. We don't seem to tap. Number one, if they're really good at that, their coaches won't let them. They don't want them to do anything other than, what they're doing, because they're afraid. The other thing is that, again, it's subject to some degree of injury because of the movements they do. But that holds promise for more movement. And maybe there's a category. Maybe there's a category out there that we haven't even thought of.
Yeah, I noticed you had the men's physique, or I'm sorry, the men's fitness at your show, and I thought that was very interesting. I never saw that before, and that where the guy said
that is a something that only 2 promoters in the country really have it. Myself, which we started it in '97 with the idea that, well, we have women's fitness, why not have men's fitness? In the beginning, we had them do a routine, okay? And what happened was that we had 2 or 3 gymnasts who did it, including Manny Mayer, who is now co-promoter. He won the contest twice, and the gymnasts always won. And it was really hard for the men because other than gymnastics and maybe a little bit karate and martial arts and that type, they didn't know what to do.
Right.
They didn't know what to do on stage. So that was sort of, down a downer. So we eliminated that completely. And we've been doing it, to say, since '97. Brad Craig, who runs the Emerald Cup out in Washington State, one of the largest contests west of the Mississippi, he's been doing it as well. It's not an official contest in that there's nowhere for these guys to go in terms of the NPC. They don't get, they can't go to the nationals and this. But we developed it to show another side of the men's fitness, and it's a crowd pleaser. And there are people out there. This year we were a little bit low. We usually have about 12 to 14 men. Mm-hmm. But this year we were a little bit low. Hopefully next year we'll be back to it.
Yeah, I enjoyed watching it. I think the crowd enjoyed it too. Just seeing how many push-ups. I think the guy that won did like 82 push-ups in 90 seconds. That was incredible.
It's a completely different one. I mean, if you looked at, I think there was one gentleman who also was in men's physique, but most of these guys were people who probably specialized more in the endurance part of the sport.
Right.
But that's, I mean, now with CrossFit being so big.
Yeah, that's true.
And those special, what do they call, mud races and everything, all these other ones, that's an area that possibly, can be developed.
Yeah, that's great. One thing I want to mention also before we let you go is you'd mentioned Gene Massey, and I know every year you give out a Gene Massey Award, and I saw during the 2-day event you had over last weekend that you gave out a couple awards at the show, and I thought that really added to the contest, presenting certain individuals in the sport with these awards.
Right. Well, Gene, as I said, was the man who started the sport in Florida, and when I began promoting, I thought, well, gee, it would be nice to recognize him because, unfortunately, after a couple of years, people forget.
Yeah.
If it's not in I used to say if it's not in the magazines, they forget. But today, I guess magazines and the web. But so I did, and it was based upon sort of all of the things that Gene did to try to capture somebody who epitomized. And this year was O.J. Jacone. And if you did you get a copy of the program, by the way?
Yes, I did. Yeah.
Okay. That if you look at the previous recipients, they're more or less all people who were very similar to Gene in what they accomplished and worked for, in some cases still work for, the sport. Now, in the case of the David Bailey Award, that was for the most promising teenager, David was one of our best teenagers and won the contest, and he was killed by a drunk driver on the way home from, he was bartending at the time, not bartending, bouncing at the time, and on the way home at 2:00 in the morning or whatever, he was broadsided by a drunk driver. So
I didn't know that.
Again, to recognize him for what he did, and he was one of the best teenagers we had at the time. That we keep giving the award to him, and although we didn't give an award out, the overall award, the men's overall that we awarded to Yamiel, is also in honor of a previous recipient called Robert Benevente, and he died, unfortunately, and we thought, well, gee, let's recognize him because, again, he was one of the few people who had won the overall that was deceased as of this time. But you know, people forget people. When I mentioned to somebody today, I said, you know, Frank Zane was really a creep. They say, who? and I try to, you got to be kidding. And I can go more current than Frank Zane. I can go Francis Benfado. I can go this or that, and people draw a blank. Now, if you say Phil Heath, okay, everyone knows.
Right.
So the idea is to try to keep in their memory, you know, some of the people who did make a major contribution.
Right. I think it's a great idea. I remember Gene a little bit from reading the magazines, and I remember when I saw the award, I thought that was great that you're honoring his memory, and like you said, people do forget. So, what did you think about the show this last weekend, Peter? Obviously, it was a great show. It was probably one of your biggest shows ever. Was there anyone in there that stood out to you? I know you're running around promoting the show, but if you got a chance to see it at all, was there anyone on stage that stood out to you?
There were several competitors who I think have tremendous potential. Yamiel is not only a master competitor, but he was an open. And I believe he is on his way up to the Masters Nationals. And I would be hopeful that he will do well.
Yeah, I think he will.
Frank Zane, not Zane, but Zane, who won his class in the men's physique. And he used to be a competitor at the time of 20 years ago.
Yeah, I think I did your
and
show back.
He was the one.
I did your show back in '87. I think he was in that
Pardon?
show. I think he. I said I did your show back in '87, and I think he was in that show. I think Frank was.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
You can't hear me.
Yeah, no, he was in the show, and he won his class in the over 50 men's physique, and he's going up to the Masters National. Unbelievable shape in physique. I'm hopeful he would do well. The same thing with our teenage winner, Lorenzo, who likes to be called Lorenzo Lee, but his name is Lorenzo Martier. Besides being a very, very business-savvy teenager, he has the shape of somebody who could go very, very far in the sport. I mean, we're lucky that over the years, I think I put it in the program, 28 of the people who won the Southern States became pros.
Wow.
Our most, well-known man, of course, is Dexter, and he won it when he was a little middleweight back in '94. And but we've had some great winners, and 28 of them now pros. Every single one of them men's physique. It's unbelievable. You would appreciate this, that they are able to turn pro in 1 to 2 years.
Wow.
I mean, can you imagine talking to a bodybuilder and saying, well, how many years have you been training? He said, wow, probably 13, 14. But why aren't you a pro? And he said, well, it takes that long.
Right.
And yet they are fortunate because of the new category, and the same thing with a bikini and the figure that sometimes those people can rise to the occasion in virtually 1 to 2 years.
Yeah, exactly.
And in a way that they don't appreciate the effort that it takes to win on the other side.
Right.
On the
right.
And
I remember.
but Because it's almost impossible for somebody to win the nationals, for example, on their first time. It's almost impossible. I know. Unless you're a Sean Ray or a certain type, you just can't do it. But they have done it, and we're real proud.
Okay, Peter. Well, thank you very much for joining us here on our first edition of the Florida Physique Report. Like I said, we really appreciate hearing about your background and hearing your thoughts on the sport because you've been involved with it for so long. And we really appreciate your involvement with the sport and you're helping it to move forward in the right direction. So thanks for joining us. And I appreciate coming out to your show this weekend. I think it was one of the biggest shows in Florida and one of the best shows I've ever seen. So, again, thanks again for your time.
Well, I thank you, John, and I applaud that you're doing all the different things that you have planned, and in addition to the radio show, for the sport. I think it was needed. Years ago, we had a statewide magazine. Unfortunately, because of costs, et cetera, that doesn't exist. And I think we need to have a vehicle that covers the entire state to help the sport. I think probably one of the most impressive things for most of the athletes, especially the masters, is coverage.
Yeah, I agree. And then, like you said, the magazines are sort of fading away, so I think this is perfect to do it on the web.
Yeah, because, if you look, where could you find a man over 70 getting a little bit, even a picture in the national magazines? That day is come and gone. And yet that man poured his heart out in his training and getting ready for the contest. So, and sure, he appreciates the first place, but hey, if he can show his wife and his family coverage, that's even more important.
Absolutely. I totally agree. All right, Peter. Well, thank you again for joining us, and we look forward to seeing more of your shows in the future.
All right. Thank you, John.
All right, Peter. Take care.
Goodbye.
All right. Welcome back to FloridaPhysique.com. This is the Florida Physique Report, and our second guest on the show is Jennifer Freeman, and Jennifer won the Figure Open show last weekend at the Southern States. She also won the Masters in the over 30 and over 40. So she had a really great night. And we did a short interview after the show with RX Muscle, but I thought we'd bring her back on FloridaPhysique.com and talk to her a little bit more. How you doing, Jennifer?
I'm fine, thank you. How about you?
Good. Well, thanks for joining us. I know you're, are you in Pittsburgh now? Because you're competing in the Masters Nationals this weekend, right?
Yes, I am. I'm heading out tomorrow.
You're heading out tomorrow. Okay.
Yes.
Well, we appreciate you joining us because I know you're probably busy getting ready for that.
No problem.
Well, I wanted to talk to you a little bit. You really were very impressive on stage at the show last weekend at the Southern States. You had a very lean physique. You were very ripped, also very feminine, and I thought you really blew away the judges and the audience. Was that your biggest night ever as far as competition goes? As far as success? Yeah.
It sure was. I have never had a night like this. I mean, in any of my career, from the time I started bodybuilding in 2000, I first entered the stage in 2000 back in the Bahamas. I'm from the Bahamas, by the way. Okay. And I got into bodybuilding through a coworker. I worked at Atlantis. And a few of my coworkers did bodybuilding, and I was always interested, And the first time I took the stage was in 2000, and I came first that night. I lost the overall. I continue on, and I never came first anymore after that. But I've never placed under the top 5.
Wow, so it was a long wait before winning another show, huh?
Right. And unfortunately, I was hit by a condition that I wouldn't wish on my enemy. So I took a long break, trying to find myself. I came back in 2000, I think it's 13. Yeah. No, I'm sorry, 2012. I came back. I did my first honor level show in West Palm Beach, and I placed second. So that told me that, even with my condition, I can still do this. and I went back in 2013. Again, I placed third and fourth. And last week was the biggest I've ever done in the bodybuilding. I walked away with 5 trophies.
So you did figure back in 2000. That had to be right when figure started, right?
No, back in 2000, bodybuilding was different. We didn't have all this figure and bikini and all this stuff. It was just bodybuilding.
Oh, okay.
You know.
You did bodybuilding in 2000. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, Jennifer. So you competed in 2000, you won, and then you took a break all the way up to 2012 and competed in the Anna Lavelle show in 2012 and 2013, correct?
Yeah, well, the break that I competed 6 times in the finals. So I took a break like in 2003, I think it was, yeah.
Okay.
And then I came over here and I competed for the first time at the Anna level at 2012.
Okay. Now you mentioned a medical condition. You want to share that with us and tell us what was going on?
Sure. In January of 2010. January 10, 2010, I remember that date like yesterday. They had a hurricane destroyed Haiti. I don't know if you remember that. And I remember lying in my bed and watching the whole thing for about 3-4 hours. I went to sleep like 1:30, and about 3:30, I opened my eyes. I thought I was dreaming. These men were taking me downstairs. I was married at the time, and I asked what's happening. And they said that you had a seizure. And when you have multiple seizures, they diagnose it as epilepsy, and from then till now, every now and again, I'll have a seizure or brain spasm, they call it, but it still bothers me from that day,
Wow.
And different stuff triggers it off. So that's why when I'm doing bodybuilding, I have to be very particular to supplements or the food that I eat. I try to get approval from my neurologist before I do anything.
What did you say triggers it?
Mostly like creatine. I cannot take any creatine. Sometimes the BCAAs, depending on what type of BCAAs it is. Thank God this lady in GNC, she recommended one for me that it works now. I cannot take any omega-3 because it tints the blood. And it's a little difficult for me, but I do everything slowly. I realize that I'm not in a race or in a rush, so while others will get there quickly, for me it will take a little more time. That's why I try to do 1 or 2 shows a year and no more, because it's hard on my body.
Right. Wow. Well, congratulations to you. I mean, not only did you achieve the physique that you did and the competitions that you won, but to do it with that obstacle in front of you, that's great.
Oh, I'm crazy in the gym. That helps a lot too. Unlike most people who run from cardio, I mean, I'm a cardio freak, and I work out 5-6 days a week from Monday to Saturday, nonstop, 3-4 hours in the gym every single day.
Wow.
I rest on Sunday only. It's like the gym to me is like a comfort zone where I find my peace.
When we did the interview backstage over the weekend after you won, you mentioned that being lean is very easy for you, but putting on muscle was harder. So
yes.
What did you do with your training to add more muscle over the last year?
I eat a lot of carbs in the night. Before I go to bed in the nighttime, I eat a lot of pasta. My breakfast, 2 a.m. in the morning, I'm eating pasta, 2 or 3 grilled cheese. I eat stuff people would not dream of 2-3 o'clock in the morning, because I have to do that, I get like 6 slices of bread sometimes, and I just put like hard cheese on it, put it in the microwave or toast it, with cheese or anything fattening, and I eat that. Then I'll go and I'll buy like boxes of lasagna, pasta, anything that's fattening, and then I'll work to tweak it a little bit by one day just eating protein because I want to stay lean. The problem is with me always being lean, it's more difficult. It's easier, to stay lean even when I'm eating this stuff because I do a lot of cardio. So for the last set of my training, we had to cut the cardio that I was doing out like for 6 weeks. No cardio, no abs. So we didn't do any of that.
The last 6 weeks before the show?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. I couldn't do any cardio.
So what is your training routine like, Jennifer? You said that you train really hard.
Right.
How many days a week are you in the gym? What kind of exercises are you doing? What kind of weights?
I'm in the gym 6 days a week, and I train for 3-4 hours every day. My upper body is a little bit of genetics, so I don't have to work as hard on my upper body, but I have to work so hard on my legs, extremely hard. Our legs exercise goes from 2 to 3 days a week. We do a lot of lunges, squats, you name it, anything for legs, we do a lot of it, especially squats and lunges. I love doing lunges, so that's why I have a lot of definition in my legs besides from the lunges. I think most of it came from the lunges.
Wow, okay. And are you using heavy weights? I would imagine you're using...
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I lift heavy. I said go hard or go home. Yeah. Sorry.
With the cardio, you said you were doing a lot of cardio. How much cardio were you doing before?
My cardio ranged from like 4 or 5 days a week. High intense. I go from level 20 to 25 sometimes. And it depends on the machine that I'm using. That's what I should say. If I'm doing the elliptical, I can only go as far as level 20. If I'm doing the Stairmaster, it's high. It's high because I'm running. You know, I'm trying to run on the Stairmaster, which is difficult sometimes, but now I've been doing it so long, I just master it.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, yeah. This is the most definition I've ever had in my legs ever.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And then how about your upper body? How do you train that? What type of exercise do you do for that?
We do a lot of shoulders exercise. I do not work my chest. We don't ever work chest. So we do shoulders, tricep, bicep, a lot of flyers, shoulder press. I shoulder press 50 pounds, believe it or not. I could only do 5 or 6 reps, but that's it. I will not lift anything under 50 pounds anymore. Now that I can do it, I keep lifting 50 pounds. So I shoulder press with 50 pounds, 5 or 6 reps, and then we do flyers, we do pecs, basically anything for the upper body except for chest. I do not want to work my chest.
Okay. It sounds like you have a lot of determination. Where did all this come from? Because it sounds like you're crazy in the gym.
Yeah, I think my age have a lot to do with it also, because I think for some reason people always think like when you're over 40, they look at it as old, you know, like you finished life or, you know, you're done. Some reason, especially for women, because, you know, I hear a lot of women, even now that I'm winning, I won the competition, they say, oh, my God, I wish I could do this, but I'm so old. And I said, how old are you? Oh, I'm 41 or whatever. And I'm thinking, I got you by 5 or 6 years, you know. Age is just a number, you know, and I keep telling them age is, you know, just a number. And finally I got 1 or 2, you know, maybe 3 of them in the gym now and realizing that it's just a number. So they ask me what motivates me. I say, get up in the morning and stand in the mirror naked. You know, that's what I do. I get up in the morning and I stand in the mirror like, damn, you're 46. you're a grandma, you know, so it keeps me motivated.
Okay. So tell me your thoughts on the Southern States contest, because you competed before, but obviously I don't think you ever won a show.
Oh my God. Oh my God. First of all, this show is very, the tension of this show will stress anybody out. You know, you hear it's a big show. My old trainer said to me not to do the show. He said, you're not ready for this show right now. This show could make you or break you. And I heard plenty bodybuilders say that. That's the way Southern States is described. You know, it's a difficult show. It's going to make you or break you if you're not strong. Make sure you're prepared for the show. You know, you only competed 2 times in America. You should do more smaller shows, this thing and that. So everything was coming at me negative. What they don't understand is I'm from the island, and my head is hard. If you want me to get to do something, tell me I can't do it. Anything. Right. And I'm going to prove to you that I can do it. So I started training harder. Instead of once a day, I would go in the evening. On Saturdays, Sundays, I'm off. I start working on Sundays, which I don't work on Sundays. So my workout got more intense because in my mind, I made it, believe it or not, I made little small strips and put it, you can't do this. This is not for you. Most everything that they told me I can't do, I wrote it down and put it like on the refrigerator or the bathroom mirror where I can see it.
Right, that's good.
And I wanted to prove to them that I can do this. And then I have a lot of I work at the Hard Rock, and I have a lot of my supervisors, you know, women who are older than me, they will push me, Jennifer, do this for us. Show them that we old, we're being cold and blah, blah, blah. So I feel like I had a lot to prove to people. Also, I wanted to help my people in the Bahamas. I wanted them to be proud of me also. And bodybuilding used to be big in the Bahamas. It's not as big as it used to be anymore. Now that I've won and I put my pictures all over Facebook and everything, one or two people inbox me say, girl, I'm getting back into it. You know, you motivate me, you inspire me. So I feel good about it now, you know. Mm-hmm. But I just want people to know age is just a number. You can do anything. Just don't go crazy with it, you know.
That's great. That's great stuff. So now you're getting ready for by the way, I wanted to say about that Southern States. I mean, I agree with you. I mean, I could see why people would say that because I went and saw the show. I was watching the whole show for 2 days, and the quality of the physiques in each class and each division was just amazing.
Right.
So if you're not ready for that show, I could see it really like.
And you know what's amazing? The girls, 2 or 3 of the girls, I made friends with them, Sarah and another girl. I was in the back there training them, showing them, because they keep saying, Mama, your body is great, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, no, we have the same body type. What's going on is you need help in your posing, because I saw them in the mirror. And I was helping them pose and stuff, and I heard one of the girls from Bikini say, where is she from? And the lady said she's from the Bahamas. Does she know that they're competing together? And I heard her. And I pulled the earphone on my ear, and I said, Mama, we're competing together on stage. In the back here, we're all friends. You know, let's don't stress ourselves out. And, you know, Sarah came second. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're friends. That she couldn't stop thanking because she has the same shoulders. She has almost the same definition, you know. But if you don't know how to strike a pose and hold those posing position right, you know, it's pointless having those stuff. And that's what killed me in the honor level because I always want to know why. When I came third, I went and I asked the judge why I came first. He said, your posing suck. So I hired a posing coach, you know.
Okay. Yeah. So you were proactive about that and you made that happen.
Yeah. Well, this is the biggest in my career. A date I will never forget, July 11, 2014.
So now you're getting ready for the Masters Nationals. You're leaving for Pittsburgh tomorrow. And what are your thoughts on that?
My first national show ever. I'm excited. You know, no matter what the outcome is, and I think I'm going to do well also. But just to get here, it's exciting. I never thought. Honestly, I won't lie to you. I never thought I would get this far in bodybuilding, and that's mainly because the devil tried to take my life so many times with this condition that I have. That's the only reason. Because if I wasn't sick or, you know, have this condition, I knew that, you know, one day I would get here. But it's so scary doing what I'm doing. Sometimes my sister gets so paranoid, you know. But I'm determined, and I'm determined to get there slowly but surely, even to take small steps. I'm not going to be crazy about it.
So it almost sounds like your medical condition was one of the real motivating forces for you to really be as excellent as you are.
Yeah, for real. A lot of bad things happen afterwards. You know, unfortunately, my marriage is ended. You know, I live by myself. The reason why is because I took care of my mom with this condition also, and she had a bunch of problems of her own, and it destroyed my life as a child. I don't want to do it to my kids. I want them to be able to live. So every day I get up and I call them, Mommy's still alive, or I post stuff on Facebook just to let everybody know out there, I'm okay. I'm okay.
Right.
You know, God let me see another day, you know.
Wow. Well, that's amazing. That's an amazing story, Jennifer, and I think you're inspiring a lot of people. I know when we did the interview over RX Muscle, I posted on my Facebook, and a couple people said how motivating that was, that you were the age you were and that you're going through what you're going through and that you were able to overcome all that and achieve the physique that you have.
I'm glad to hear that because that's my intention. I want people to know, you know, not because, you know, the devil knocks you down in certain areas of your life, you must just stop living. I want them to know that you can still live, do the stuff that you enjoy, you know, just be sensible about it. Don't go crazy, you know. If you have cancer, go grab a cigarette and smoke. No, you know that's dangerous for your health. You know, be wise about it. And that's what I do. That's what I do, you know.
Right. You work within your limitations.
Right, right. That's my intention. I want to be able to help as many people and get through the people. And so far, I'm proud of myself. I think I'm doing that, but I'm not doing it at the level that I want to do it. I want to get there and, you know, really get the people to know, yeah, I have this, but it's not slowing me down. Yes, I'm still living. You know, I just won 5 trophies at a Southern State, one of the biggest bodybuilding competition I've done, and one of the biggest body competition that is the most difficult in Florida. If I can do it with this situation going on with me, you can do it too.
Right. Well, we just talked to Peter Potter, the promoter of the show, and he was telling us how many people who have won at the Southern States have gone on and won national shows and gotten their pro card. So I hope you're going to be the next one.
I hope so, because I mean, the opposite. I mean, I'm sure they're trying to encourage me, but I have a lot of bodybuilders on my page, and it's very rare that people go to these competitions and get the pro cards right away. So just be open-minded about it and have fun. And I'm sure they're telling me this to be positive and all that stuff, and I'm taking everything. My thing is I'm a fun person. I make friends with strangers on a bus. So just to know that I'm flying to Pittsburgh by myself, my first time going there, the fact that I have an opportunity to go to nationals, this whole thing is a dream for me. So I'm just going to enjoy it, you know?
Right. Well, good
that's
for
all
you.
I want. I want to have fun, you know? It's the experience and the journey also. People tend to forget all of that. You know, all they want to do is get on stage. You know what it is for me to be flying to Pittsburgh by myself in my own hotel room. I can't wait to order room service. You know, to me, the whole thing is fun. I want to win, but if I don't win, I'm not going to just cry. I'm going to look at all the girls, and I'm going to ask the judges to critique me and ask me where did I go wrong, where do I need to work on, because now I'm only going to be competing in national shows, trying to get my pro card.
Right, right.
You know.
Well, it's been my experience that the people who have that kind of attitude usually do the best, so I think you'll do really well.
Amen.
All right, Jennifer. Well, thanks for joining us on the Florida Physique Report on FloridaPhysique.com, and we really wish you the best this weekend. We hope you bring home a pro card for Florida and for yourself, and I think you're a great inspiration for a lot of women out there and a lot of competitors out there. So we wish you the best of luck, and we'll be looking for you this weekend.
Thank you. I'll be there.
All right.
You have a nice day also. Bye.
All right. Thanks for joining us.
You're welcome.